Welcome to Season 3 of the Knack for Business podcast. Over 380 plus episodes strong, we're here to ignite your entrepreneurial spirit with fresh insights, networking gems, and creative strategies that elevate your game.
Question for the audience. Are you unsure how to grow or fix the struggles in your business? Well, that's exactly what Michelle will talk about. How to overcome the challenges small business owners and solopreneurs face when trying to grow and succeed. Our guest today is Michelle Angiolillo. Michelle Lee is an award-winning certified bank coach and licensed trainer, international best-selling author, keynote speaker, and networking ninja. She has more than 30 years of experience in corporate sales and many years in network marketing and direct sales. Implementing bank, she took her startup company from zero to over 2 million in less than 3 years. Bank saved a relationship with her son. Seeing the power of bank, Michelle knew she found her purpose and passion. Her mission is to empower the lives of every person she touches and have a ripple effect so others can learn to live their best life ever, having financial and time freedom and the best relationships ever. Michelle, welcome. It's good to see you. And, do you have a favorite quote or saying? Something we can bank.
Well, thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here. One of my favorites is the single biggest problem in communication, the illusion that it has taken place, by George Bernard Shaw.
Very nice.
So give us a quick snapshot of Bank and how you found it.
Bank is reverse engineered personality science. Every single person is made up of all 4 of these codes. The key is there's 24 different combinations. And when you can unlock someone's values because it's value-based, you're able to meet them where they are and communicate to them the way they were meant to be communicated to. I actually found it by accident. I lost my job. Companies went bankrupt. I was literally starving. Had to move my 2 small kids. We sold literally everything we owned. Truckloads came in. Auction guy came in and took everything. I was like, kids, if we're not using it, it's got to go. And then we tried to find a house. In the meantime, people I worked with for 28 plus years lost their job too. So I did the only thing I knew to do, and that was to go and try to start a company on my own with credit cards and a lot of prayer. I was drowning. I was frustrated. I had no money, and I hated what I was doing. It was the industry I was in. In the process, I went to a conference, and that's where I met Sherry Tree, the creator of the bank methodology. She blew me away, and all she could sell was these little cards and a book called Why They Buy. And I bought them, and I was like, okay, this is it. I didn't know there was anything else. So on my way, I went with little knowledge. I was like a bull in a china closet. I was cracking codes. I didn't know what to do with it. Then I met someone networking, and they were actually a certified trainer. I said, oh my gosh, that's that thing. So I signed up for a course. I went through the coaching program that we offer. The first day, my son had come home from school, and he was in college. He wasn't home more than a couple of days. I was just getting ready to start the program, and we got into the biggest fight we had ever gotten into, and he didn't want to be around me. He wanted to go back to school. And God works in mysterious ways. I start the program, and the first code I learned about was the blueprints, and that is his first code. I realized for 18 years I had been parenting the child I thought I had and not the child I actually had. And that's when everything shifted in my life and in my business, because I knew at that moment, if I could mess up for 18 years with my own child, who I knew everything about, how can you possibly go into any conversation with another person and know who they are, know what's important to them, and know how to communicate with them? So that's when I immersed myself in the methodology and the training. And I knew I had to not only understand it, I had to master the skills and live it every day.
Wow. So I guess knowing the bank code helps you to make sales then, right? And do you have a story of someone who's like, all right, let's bank this one. How do we bank on this to work for us?
Absolutely. So it works with every single relationship and every conversation. In my own business, right prior to learning bank, I blew a deal for $180,000 that I needed more than air itself. And I left that conversation blaming the other person. Then I learned I missed it. Once I understood bank, I was able to go back and land that deal. We have people in every industry from real estate. A man, Joe Kavanaugh, he actually took his conversion rate from 36% to 87% using bank. Doesn't matter what industry it is, network marketing, 30 days, one of my clients took their sales up 400%, recruited 12 new team members and had 3 rank advancements. It works every time when you use it.
When you're having a one-to-one, how do you do the assessment figure out their bank?
So there's many ways to crack codes. If it's in person, I use the cards. People love it. It's fast, it's simple, and guess what? It's about them, their favorite topic, right? Plus, I speak in all 4 codes when I ask them to sort them. Fascinating. Then we have a link so we can actually crack codes online. On my calendar, I actually have that as a required question for them to crack their code. And all my clients do the same thing. We have a LinkedIn extension where you can decode people in nanoseconds. We also teach speed coding. Speed coding is being able to determine that person without using any of our technology or the cards. It's having a conversation with them and within 2 minutes, being able to decipher who they are.
Yeah, I got another question. Wayne, are you willing to be a quick test subject? Sure. Can you do a bank on Wayne? That also might be another catchphrase for Wayne. Sorry, go ahead.
So yes, and I always tell my people, we aren't in the guessing business, right? So the best way is to have people crack their own codes. Because if you're guessing, you're just like throwing spaghetti noodles at the wall. Speed coding is the hardest of the ways to crack codes. But when you master the skills, you're able to dance and shift into the different codes to meet them where they are 100% of the time. So with Wayne, hi, Wayne.
Hello.
What is exciting in your world today?
Actually, meeting you.
Oh, well, thank you, Wayne. It's wonderful to meet you too. Just from the small interaction that I had with Wayne before we got on here, I would say Wayne's first code is nurturing. The way he's dressed, the way he's inside the camera, his warm, he greets you warm, fuzzy.
HR used to really hate that.
So you're putting people in a headlock, right? No.
So that when you go through speed coding, you're looking at what are they wearing? What is their tone? Their body language? What words are they using? What's their background look like? Any accessories? Like if I was in person with you and you saw a Versace bracelet, you're automatically going to go, whoa, wait a second. A's, they're the loudest people in the room, typically. They wear the designer labels. The nurturing, they're like warm and fuzzy. Like they're all about relationships. Wayne welcomed me in such a warm and friendly way. I was like, oh, I feel so at home here. Blueprints and knowledge are colder codes. Knowledge don't like to be touched. So when you start to see how the codes show up and how they blend, they're completely different. It's like you're speaking 4 completely different languages.
Tell me how you brought it up. Tell me about nurturing and loud. How do those two work?
So if you're nurturing and loud and want to be center of attention, when those two are in the first 2 positions, the nurturing is the warm and fuzzy. The action is the loud. I want to be seen. I want to be heard. You can even think of them as filters. People dance between the first 2. They blend. That's their happy spot. You want to meet them in those 2 positions. The 3rd position typically represents someone under stress. And the 4th position is what they stay away from. So mine's ANKB, right? If I get stressed out, you're not going to see an N. You're going to see a K. You might have that look. I might start asking you a ton of questions. Sometimes the dark side of the code could come out and I'll be like, everyone's stupid. So, there's dark sides to every code as well. But when you start to see the shift in the blend and how people show up, it's fascinating.
If you're meeting one-on-one, right, well, online or in person obviously is better because you're getting more detail, you're getting a better read of the person. And of course, if If they're giving you the input information as opposed to observation, then you get more direct information. But if you're dealing with a group of people, a small group, 4 to 5, or an audience, is there a bank code for an audience, a group, or a business? Or is it just a one-on-one thing?
So when you're speaking to a group, every person in that group has an individual bank code. When you're speaking to the masses, you got to speak in all 4 codes, right? Because you need to, it's just like going into a room, you speak English, but you have English, German, Spanish, and Korean speaking people. You need to speak all languages. Same thing with bank. So if I was going into a room and talking about bank, I'd be like, who are my movers, my shakers, my million makers, ready to take action? By building authentic and true relationships so that you can connect and truly make people matter. With a proven step-by-step system that has been around for 25 years. And it's the only methodology in the world scientifically validated for buying behavior in less than 90 seconds.
So to get right to the question, how much time do I have to invest? And how much money should I be investing to be a graduate?
So we have, for bank, there's different levels, right? So we have programs that you could get started for $99 with tools and technology and some training. And then we go all the way up to mastery level where you want to get certified, become a trainer, and those programs go up to $25,000.
Emotional intelligence, that plays a role. You have to read people, understand context, and then, what's triggering a person, either for, against, or, they're kind of like, they're just, poker face, like, oh my gosh, what's going on behind the veil? How much EI, emotional intelligence, do you have to have? Or can you be a brick and then go, you know what? I don't like being here. Or is it one size fits all, or does it require, for someone who's going to do the bank process, does it require a bit of tuning inside that brings them up to emotionally intelligent enough to process what they're seeing and understanding?
That is a great question. When you study bank and learn bank, it increases your emotional intelligence. We actually have a coaching program that focuses on 6 intelligences, and that is one of them. But the point of emotional intelligence is first understanding yourself and how you show up, and then understanding the other person that's across from you. When you can understand in a simple way how to connect and communicate and not judge, your emotional intelligence increases.
Not judging. I like that part. That's kind of important, right?
Tell me about the mindsets that keep people crippled in business or in life.
That's a great question, Wayne. So there's several. One big mindset is that, one, they know everything. And so it holds them back because they aren't open to new ideas or learning. Some people, they spend their life learning, right? When you look at mindset in business, one thing is that they assume they already know what the other person wants because they show up expressing what they love about it or what excites them about it or what intrigued them, right? So they're speaking from their own perspective, but they're not paying attention to the person across from them and what's important to them. So that's a big disconnect. Another big mindset issue is money mindset. How do they feel about money? Asking for money.
Do you find there's a particular industry that can use this more? I know you've told us that it's a universal fit. Having emotional intelligence in any aspect of your life is handy. Is there a business where this is a really stronger fit than everywhere else?
So Bernie, it fits with every industry. Any communication with another person is where this fits. We have chiropractors who are blown away with bank. They've trained their employees, their team. They code the files for their clients. They're taking their sales conversion. Not only are they increasing it, but they're doing it in half the time. When you can speed the process up and not only increase your sales, but do it in half the time, even chiropractors. I don't think there's anyone in the world that can't do better with interacting with people.
A lot of our listeners are solopreneurs, and some of them do terrible jobs outside of their business. I'd like you to tell me, you mentioned your son. Tell me about how they react better in Rotary, how they're better in church, how they're better in their home. Tell me about the non-business benefits of bank.
So Wayne, on your book, it's called Make People Matter. It's all about being able to truly not judge, love more, and meet people where they are. When you look at being able to unlock someone's operating system, for my son, for example, his code is the exact opposite of me. He's blueprint, knowledge, nurturing, action, complete opposite. For 18 years, I stressed the child out so badly that he didn't feel loved or seen or heard. And neither did I as a parent. Even when I would hug him as a child, he hated it because he's a code that doesn't like to be touched. But I would say, why don't you want to hug? Like, what did I do wrong as a parent? Why don't you love me? So whether you're in ministry or you're a parent or you're married, everyone has a code. When me and my husband first started dating, we would cook together and I'd say, what do you want me to do? And he'd say, cut the onions. I'd cut the onions. I'd hand him the cutting board. He'd recut that. And I would be like, why? Why did I waste my time? What did I do wrong? He's high blueprint. He has a system and a process for everything, even cutting onions, even loading the dishwasher. So when you start to see how it entwines with everything, you're like, oh, now I see it.
Dishwasher, it's basically like a badger on crack.
That might be a guy thing, we have a certain stack process, not necessarily the best process. How do you balance out then? Because when you're doing the bank, right, and the reason you're deploying this, and the reason you're going for the emotional intelligence is you're improving yourself, right? And you're improving your engagement. How do you balance the inner peace? Some people don't realize they have it, but they need it. It doesn't matter where you're at, doesn't matter, what your lifestyle is, whether you're a rancher or you're an Andy Warhol doing paint, you need that kind of balance piece, but you also need the profit piece. If the money's not coming in, whatever you want to do is not going to happen easily, right? So you have to have that balance. How does bank help the person get that harmony going, for lack of better words?
So it gives you the ability to first understand yourself, even understand what's holding you back, right? So that's that first piece, because you have to understand how you're wired and things start to make sense where you know what's stopping you. How can you tap into another code to get past that, right? Plus, you're balancing your business and your life. If your business is a mess, your life is a mess at home. If your home life is a mess, your business is a mess. So when you can bring that together and give people the ability to live their best life, that changes everything. Because you can understand it's not personal, it's personality. It takes it off of you, of absorbing all the things that are happening in your world. To make more money, it makes people better. It makes them be able to help the world more. The more money you make is a direct reflection of the lives that you help. Some people get stuck. Wayne asked about the mindset for money, right? Some people have a really hard time asking for money. It's nurturing. Blueprints, it's too risky. Knowledge, they get stuck in their head. They overthink it. Every single code is important, and every single code does amazing things in the world, because without them, think of how the world would be. And every code can take action. Just think of the bank code as a filter, and you have to check the box to get there.
Listening to you present, I'm surprised Bernie and I got to our second meeting. And we're 3 years. We have different codes, he and I. I do have a question for you. Do you warn people that when they understand their lives and their business, they better get ready to scale up? How do you actually train them to know what's coming?
So that's a great question, Wayne. In our coaching program, we go through 6 intelligences. We're looking at every aspect of their sales intelligence, business, emotional, spiritual, artificial, like the whole pig level at one on top of another, where you're looking at your numbers. You're looking at your sales velocity. You're looking at everything you need so that you can put it all in order, because you have to have a system, no matter where your blueprint falls. You have to have a system and a foundation to grow that business, or it'll crumble.
A question that I think I have an answer, but I want your take. The bank at 20 and the bank at 50. Same, different? How do you deal with it? What you learn at 30 and what you learn at 60, is bank different?
So we actually have a further assessment that will rate people out of 25 points, right? And everything above 20 needs to more optimized in the code. And the closer together the numbers, the easier they dance and shift. So yes, when you look at their experiences, the things they've been through, their jobs that they've had, you can have people who have very high numbers, and it doesn't matter what their age is, or very low numbers, doesn't matter what their age is. The key with bank is it's a simple system that anyone can learn. We even have kids cards. So kids 3 and 4 years old can crack their code, right? So it's that simple. And once you learn it, you can't unlearn it. When you look at age, it doesn't come down to age. It comes down to more, is that person open and willing to be coachable and actually do the work?
I find that people buy training courses, get them, and then don't open them. How do you get them? You saw what I did. You liked what I did. You paid me. You haven't even downloaded it. How do you break that?
A lot of times actions will do that. They'll buy something on a whim, and then they don't even think about it again. Or there's times that people don't know what that next step is. Or maybe it took too much time and they were like, I wasn't ready to commit this kind of time. I'm out. So when you can bankify your business and literally look at, okay, all 4 codes, how can we get all 4 codes motivated after this point? Because here's where it froze, right? Here's where the disconnect happened. So what could we bankify to make sure that each person, each code knows what the next step is and makes it as easy as possible?
Now, how many people have you trained? How many organizations have gone? How many people have banked on you to help?
Oh my gosh, I don't even have a number for you. It's over hundreds, thousands of people I've done trainings for. Yeah.
When you're doing the training session, what's that profile look like? Assuming that someone walks up and says, hey, help me understand the codes and train me up. It's one thing to explain it. It's another thing to walk through it. And then sometimes you might need a refining process, depending on whether the person is in brick mode or open. What's that cycle look like?
So we have tools and technology that people can use on a subscription basis, which is that $99. And then we have individual trainings where they can go from fundamentals to relationships, speed coding, all the way up to communication mastery. And then we also have that coaching program where we're going to walk through it with them for 13 weeks. That's going to give them that deep dive and the implementation. So when we do bank, we're big on implementation, because it's great to learn stuff, but if you're just going to put it on the shelf, how's it going to help you with your life and your business? So we focus on implementing it into your life and business.
I'm going to use the word evangelism, but not about God for a moment. How do you hit their pain points to know they need you in 60 seconds or less so you can get them into an interview?
When we crack people's codes, we're going to speak to their values. So when you're looking at what does this person need and what information do I have to give them, it's based on, okay, like if I was going to sell you this pen, how would I sell it to you? A blueprint. Why would a blueprint buy this pen? A blueprint is going to buy this pen because it's reliable. It has a warranty. It comes with replacement ink. We back it. The company's been around for 30 years. Why would an Action buy the pen? Oh my gosh, this pen is made of gold. Every famous person in the world has touched this pen, and this pen is going to give you the biggest deals You'll be able to sign $1 million deals with his pen, right? And when you go through, each one is going to buy it for a different piece. That's why we say bankify. So when you look at those sound bites, you could pull out sound bites for your business to sell that person on whatever it is you want them to buy.
More of an observation than a question. It actually ties into the question in a minute. But I looked at sales training. I've been around sales training 30 years, and most of it was good. But it never dealt with adding this building blocking. I kind of wish I got you before Tony Robbins.
Oh, thanks. Do you know Jeffrey Gitomer?
No.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so Jeffrey Gitomer, I just got to meet him. He was at one of our trainings. So he came to our sales fundamentals and speed coding, and he wrote the Little Red Book of Selling. He actually endorsed our book, and he said, this book is money in the bank, your bank. Salespeople who use bank will replace salespeople who don't. Jeffrey Gitomer. And he's all about not learning sales tactics or sales manipulation. He's all about why people buy. And so we're going to do some great things with Jeffrey.
I want you to phone every one of my former HR managers of the companies I worked in to tell them I wasn't broken. And they just didn't know my colors.
That's exactly it.
How do you put sales off the side and help them understand working with each other so that the company is more holistic and whole? Even people even want to show up at work. That seems to be more important than making that extra sale.
Absolutely. And it all comes down to people want to be seen, heard, and understood and appreciated. And if you speak into their values and give them what they need, they're going to have that. So I did a training for a law firm and took the cards, put them all out on the table, and they're looking around. They go through this training, and I said, what do you notice about this room? They're looking, and they're like, oh my gosh, all the A's are together. All the K's are together. There were 2 family lawyers. They were nurturing and blueprint. They were the only nurturing in the group, right? First position. So all of a sudden, they're looking around the room, and they're like, oh my God, that's why Tom does that. This guy flies in late. He comes in like a bull in a china closet, right? He's like, he runs in and he goes and he sits down. Blueprint was last. I ask him what his expectations are for this training. And he looks at me and he goes, time management. I said, I got you. So after the training, I go over to him and I said, hey, listen, Tim, do you want to know why you have such a problem with time management? And he looks at me and he goes, yes, please. I said, you're not broken. I said, blueprint is last. You just need to tap into it. And I gave him some things to do. He literally wrote like this big smiley on the page and he handed it to me. He said, this is the best training I've ever been to.
That's a really good message. Good feedback. When you're writing content, you deploy it for yourself so you understand where you're coming from. When you're writing content, you're not meeting the persons directly, but you have an audience. Assuming the audience isn't a wide spectrum, like you're selling chocolate bars. There's only a few clusters of people. Typically, when you're selling a product and writing content for that product, you deploy them to project the best message possible.
Absolutely. If you're writing to the masses, you want to hit all 4 codes. And it doesn't have to be long, just sound bites, right? We teach a power scripting course where we go through how to do that. It has to speak to all the people. What happens typically, you have ethos, logos, right? So it fits in all of these. When you start to look at bank, these 2 are the emotional codes, the action and the nurturing. Actions buy first, nurturing are second. When people tell you speak to the emotions, it's because you're hitting 50% of the people and they're the ones that buy first. But you're leaving these 2 on the table, the blueprint and the knowledge. Blueprints will buy knowledge. You can't close them. A knowledge person you can't close. They have to close themselves. They'll talk themselves into it. But you got to give them the space to do it or you'll lose the sale.
There's a federal law in Canada that says you can't have a podcast if you don't mention AI at least 3 times. How does this incredible training match up with this technological breakthrough opportunity? Does that work out?
Well, Wayne, I'm so glad you asked that question because we actually have AI. And our AI is the only AI with empathy built in. So we actually have a way that, Bernie, you can decode any written or verbal communication. And then we have a Kai chatbot who will actually write in any of the codes, just like ChatGPT. So when Sherry actually spoke at the United Nations about artificial intelligence for good.
So I got a question to ask. Wayne, can you do a read on me?
Well, yes, again, I didn't guess Wayne's full bank code, but Bernie, your first code, I would say your first code is K.
No, just scary.
Wayne, over to you.
Here's something neat. I love it when people have something really tangible that my clients should buy. I love that. But even more important is what my clients should learn. I find some of our solopreneurs are drivers, which I'm guessing is an A in bank. I also find that they drive with energy, passion, and train wrecks. The clutter they leave around them and broken people is spectacular. Yet they make good numbers and they're exciting. How do you help them get bank before they even realize it?
That's a great question too, Wayne. With DISC, it breaks it down even further. An action blueprint is going to show up way different than an action nurturing or an action knowledge. So depending based on their code is how to help them. Your action, your AKs, we call them AK-47s, right? They can come at you just like an AK-47, super fast and a ton of information. When you start to look at that, you can break it down, and that's when you can help them. Because now they get to open the world up to, oh, wait a second, I need to calm down. I need to not go so fast because A's will run people over. And one of my colleagues actually said, bank is DISC in action.
Oh, I like that.
Wow.
I found this too esoteric.
Well, DISC is based in psychology, right? Bank is not based in psychology. It's based in biology, the science of buying behavior. It's also, when you look at the cards, it says values. Values are what drive decision-making, how that person shows up, what's important to them, and yes, their buying behavior.
If we wanted to explore the bank, what are next steps? How do you want us to engage the system? How do we reach you?
You can reach me on LinkedIn. It's Michelle Angiolillo. The next steps to get started are to get on a call and see what is best for you.
And what do you see as the future for bank? What's the next, obviously success, but what do you see as the next iteration?
So you're going to see bank everywhere. We've already gotten into education from elementary all the way up to university levels. You'll see bank in hospitals where their bank code is actually going to be on the whiteboard when the doctor walks in. And in virtual reality, you're going to see bank codes on top of people's heads. It's everywhere, and it is going like wildfire.
You know what? This has been a great session. I want to say thank you to Michelle Angiolillo, my co-host Wayne Pratt, and you, the Knack for Business listeners. You know what? This has been a really good conversation, getting to know my bank code, getting to know Wayne's bank code, not that we didn't know it already. Michelle makes a difference in your work, in your business space. It helps you take away the stress, because sometimes we build our own stress. That means understanding yourself and understanding the people you're working around. So she has these tools that are really handy and available for you. Reach out to her, connect with her.
To reach the podcast hosts, email them at info@creativeinsight.com or by the website creativeinsight.com, spelled KREATINSIGHT.com. To reach Wayne at his email, wayne@motivateyou.ca, that is MOTIVE, the numeral 8 and the letter u.ca, or his website, motivateyou.ca. If you would like to be a guest on this podcast and share your knowledge, let us know. We would also appreciate your feedback on the content or format. Check the show notes for more details. For these podcasts, we like to acknowledge the support and thanks to the following people. Carl Richards from Podcast Solutions Made Simple, a renowned podcast expert. Fred Crouch, who is the Property Wizard podcaster, where Bernie is a co-host. Jovan Strika from At Hive, a co-working space that is more than just a space. Then Melanie Weber, Bernie's invaluable business partner. And Wayne Pratt from Motive 8U Inc., who serves as both a coach and co-host of these podcasts. Disclaimer. Please note that the Knack for Business podcast episodes are meant solely for educational and general informational purposes. The information and opinions contained within are not intended to be professional advice on any subject matter. The thoughts, views, and opinions expressed by the participants are their own personal beliefs and do not represent the views of the podcast hosts or any affiliated organizations. It is important to note that this podcast is not a replacement for consulting with certified experts in your area who possess knowledge of your unique situation. The hosts of the podcast, along with any participants or affiliated groups, do not take responsibility for any actions taken or not taken based on the information presented in this episode. It is highly recommended that individuals seek guidance from their own personal advisors in fields such as accounting, law, or other pertinent areas prior to undertaking any actions or making decisions that may impact their financial, legal, or other aspects of life.